Yo, what up, fam? It's Phantom. Welcome back to another video. In this video, we're going to be going over the top 5 Minecraft server tips that I have for you guys. I opened up 3 servers now, and the third one was the first one I really tried to put a lot of time and effort into and really try to focus into and also try to actively make money on. And I made so many mistakes, and there's so many things that I had no idea that you needed to do. So they're the top 5 things that I wish people would have told me before I started my server, because I had no idea about any of these. But before we get further into this, if you guys like this video, make sure you hit the like button and subscribe for more content. And if you guys want to play on the server that we are playing on and the footage is behind us, it's Pixelfam.modded.fun, or check the IP address in the description. Tip number 1. Find a good Minecraft host. First thing I recommend you do is find a reputable server host. And what I mean by that is there are a lot of server hosts, hundreds if not thousands. You search Minecraft server hosting and you'll get a ton of websites. And in fact, that's what I did on my very first server that I built. I just built one to have with some friends and then a few viewers on YouTube. And I went with Apex Hosting, and I really didn't like the experience. They didn't do a good job. I wasn't a fan of a lot of different things that they had to offer, and their support wasn't very good at all. I just wasn't a fan, and when I went to build Pixelfam, the server that I have now, that was something I really had to focus on and recognize, okay, I need to find a really good server host. We are now with Bisect Hosting, and we're now actually partnered with Bisect Hosting as well. If you guys want to actually get 25% off your first month, make sure if you choose Bisect Hosting, at the end, put in code Phantom. You get 25% off your first month, and it helps the channel while you do it and helps us grow Pixelfam alongside everything else on the YouTube channel. It helps me out. So if you guys want to use that, that is something you guys can use. I get it. I am biased, but I chose Bisect after looking over hundreds of different hosting services, and it's the one that I was always recommended to by a lot of people. So I recommend you guys use that. And like I said, if you want to get 25% off your first month, make sure you use code Phantom. But also, like I said, I used Apex Hosting. Wasn't a fan of them, so I definitely don't suggest doing Apex. But in my opinion, the most important thing for your server host you need to look for is their support. It's kind of hard to find info on that, so you really just have to find a community and ask them, hey, what do you guys think of this server hosting website or this server hosting website? Because you aren't going to know what support is like until you actually are involved with it and actually pay money on the server. What I mean by that, with a lot of these server hosts, they have support and they have 24/7 access to either a chat or some sort of ticket system like Bisect has, that you can support, that you can submit something and say, hey, this is what's going wrong and this needs to be fixed. And they go through all that, they take all that info and they try to help you through it. I'm telling you, support is hugely important when you're first starting out, because you're going to feel like an absolute noob and you're not going to know what you're doing, and support can really help you through that and kind of guide you through that process. I obviously want to help you as best I can in these videos, but I can only make these videos so long, so support helps. I think it's the most important thing, and Bisect does it great. But if you do look for another service, make sure you are on top of the support, because that is the most important. The second most important thing, which I think most hosts have this pretty well down, is scalability. My big thing was when I started to grow Pixelfam, I wanted to grow my server capacity and everything involved with that pretty seamless. Most server hosts have this down pretty well, but make sure there's an easy way to just basically jump up to the next tier when more and more players come to your server as you start to populate your server with more and more people. Tip number 2, pre-generate your world. Pre-generate your world. If you don't know what that means, please, please, please just do a simple Google search, pre-generating Minecraft world, and read up on it, please. I'll give you a short synopsis of what that is if you haven't owned a server before and you've not done it yet. So before you do anything else on your server, you need to pre-generate your world once you've bought it from the host and you log into your world. What pre-generating does is basically, it does exactly what it says. It pre-generates everything in your world so that people aren't the ones generating it as they go by. So it helps with lag, but also more importantly, it helps with corrupted chunks. So one thing we did when we first built Pixelfam and we had to take it down for a month is we made the world, we didn't pre-generate it, we didn't do a lot of these things that I'm going to be talking about in this video, and we didn't realize that that was an issue. Pre-generating the world is very, very important. We didn't do that, and so we realized after we were told, like, hey, you're supposed to pre-generate your world, what had happened to our world is it got a corrupted chunk. And corrupted chunks, the only real way to solve it only easy way to solve it is to roll back your server to when that happened. But the problem is our server had crashed a lot. There's a program called World Edit, which I suggest you very, very carefully use World Edit. You probably know what that is. World Edit just makes you be able to load in a bunch of chunks at once, but it can crash your server really, really easily. And when World Edit causes the crashes, it can very well easily cause a corrupted chunk when happening. So what had happened is we had used World Edit, server crashed 100 times probably before we launched it, and we don't know during that time when that corrupted chunk happened because we didn't know it was an issue until we launched. Then we launched and we had all these issues after like 3 days, and it basically, my server went to hell. It all crashed. It was all terrible, all because we just didn't pre-generate the world. Now, that wouldn't have fixed everything, but that would have solved a lot of our issues. The next step we'll go over here in a little bit, but for the first part, pre-generate your world. It's extremely important. You need to do that. Also, while doing pre-generate, you're going to be using a thing called the world border. That is the plugin that you'll use. Download world border and put a world border if your server is modded. If you have a modded server, so if you're playing something like Pixelmon or any kind of Technic pack or something, any kind of mod that you're adding to your server, if you're adding any mods that's not vanilla, you need to have a world border. I suggest somewhere between 20 to 30,000 blocks out. And the reason why you do that is because when you have a modded server, it can cause a lot more lag a lot easier. And if you have your players spread out hundreds of thousands of blocks away, you're going to have a ton of lag. You're going to deal with a lot of lag. If you bring in that world border, do it before you open your server, because the players will know, okay, I can't go outside of that, and they're not going to be upset when you have to bring the world border in and they're 100,000 blocks out and you have to world edit their base back into the area, and it's just a huge hassle you don't want to have to deal with. Trust me, do a world border before you start the server. Use that world border plugin to not only bring in the world border, but also pre-generate your world so you are ready to go day one. Tip number 3, server backups. Backup your server often. This is another thing we didn't do when we were building the server, and it was a big mistake because we had no idea where to back up to. So with something like Bisect hosting, there is a backup manager that you guys can use that's really easy to use. You just click backup and it'll load in, and you can specifically choose which files to save. I usually just do all files on my server. I've got a 4-hour backup going every single time. So if you don't know what a backup is, it's basically it saves the world at the time you choose to back up the server, and it saves that in its own little pocket, its own little folder, and usually it's pretty big. Mine's usually between 25 to 30 gigabytes because it downloads the entire world exactly how it is and all the data that everybody has. So let's say your server crashes and you have problems. Like for instance, the second time we launched Pixelfam, when it actually worked, one of our mods ended up having a mistake and there was a whole issue, and it caused a bunch of lag and a bunch of problems, and we didn't know how to solve it. And so we realized, okay, we're just gonna have to go to a backup. So we had every 4-hour backup. We just backed it up 4 hours. Yeah, players lost 4 hours of progress, but that's way better than days, months, weeks. Like heaven forbid you have to go that far back, because players will just leave your server if they have to wait, and all the progress is wiped. So make sure you're backing up often. I do mine every 4 hours. I suggest at least that, or at the very least daily backups. Again, if you're on Bisect hosting, you have automatic daily backups, so you don't have to worry about backupping daily yourself. But I personally like to do manual backups every single day. You can also schedule your backups on Bisect to where you can schedule it how often. Like I said, I have mine scheduled every 4 hours, so I don't have to manually come to my computer and back it up. I also suggest when you're backing up to back up straight up onto your computer or some sort of hardware, and not just on a website, because sometimes something can corrupt on the website and suddenly you think you have a backup when you don't. I suggest at least once a week. I do every week have a way to where it downloads a backup to my computer itself, and then I delete the latest backup I had. I do that every week. I suggest you do the same as well, just in case something were to happen and you think you have a backup and you don't. It's helpful to have something that you absolutely know is going to work. So like I said, you need to make sure to back up your server often, because there's nothing worse than getting on a server and realizing, oh my God, there goes all my progress for a day, a week, a month, and that's not fun, and people will just go away and not stay. So make sure you back up your server often. Tip number 4, advertising your server. So you got the server, you're ready to go, you got all the mods, you got all the plugins, you got the mods, you got the admins, you got everybody ready. You go to launch it and you think the easiest way to get people is just to do voting sites. Let me tell you, voting sites don't really help that much. I don't know why it's such a big thing. Obviously, it must help some people in some servers, but our server has found no benefit from it. Oh, virtually none. The only thing that really helped at the beginning, and this does help a little bit, is when we first added the voting to the websites. When you first add your server to a voting website, it'll show up as new on a lot of them, and people will find your server that way. Other than that, you're so far down the totem pole, and you have to scroll so far down to find your server. Even if you make a really flashy banner and it looks awesome and everyone wants to do it, it's not going to help a ton. So don't expect voting sites to be the only way you bring players. If the only way you think you're going to bring players is through voting websites, it's not going to last, because at first, like I said, you'll get a decent amount of players, maybe 20, 30, maybe even 100 players at the beginning. But when those players stop playing, it's just the server's going to die. You're going to have a great beginning, and then it's just going to start slowly dying. If you want any kind of longevity, what I suggest is to spend money on advertising the right way. One thing you should absolutely not do is spend money on these voting websites. Unless you're a massive server that can afford to be at the top of the top on all of these and throw money away like it's nothing, that's fine. You have the money to do that. But if you're not that, don't waste your money on advertising sites like this. Don't waste your money on voting sites. Not that many people are going to see it. And even if they did, they're not going to stick around. And especially for the money. I mean, I looked into it. It's like hundreds, like $400 to $500 for like a week's worth of voting. And yeah, they promise you a ton of impressions, but they don't guarantee anything outside of just impressions, which is just somebody logging onto their website and just happened to scroll by your website or scroll by your server. It's really not worth it. Trust me, if you want to spend $400 or $500, that's good. That's what you need to be thinking. You need to realize that it's going to take a lot of time and a lot of effort for a server. So I suggest you go after something like a content creator. Look for content creators. Pay your content creators. Don't just expect them to come on the server. Don't say, oh, I'll just give you a rank. Yay, woo. No, pay your content creators. If they're worth actually paying, then pay them. Don't expect to get a 10,000 subscriber channel to do a video on your channel or to do a video on your server for nothing, for in-game stuff. Even 1,000 subscriber person. I have been contacted by servers before, even on my small channel. They're like, oh, you could do a video on my channel, or my server, but I'll pay you in a rank and you get YouTuber next to your name. I don't care. Your server isn't going to provide me any viewers, I promise you. Even if my name says YouTuber next to it, it doesn't matter. So for me, as a 1,000 subscriber YouTuber, it's not going to be worth it. Certainly as you go higher than that, it's not going to be worth it. Pay your content creators, have some money set aside specifically for advertising, and that's an easier way. Use content creation, use Twitch, YouTube, Facebook Live. I mean, you can do anything to find YouTubers and content creators. Outside of that, it is kind of difficult to advertise for the server. You can maybe look at other websites, try posting. I know some subreddits allow you to post your server. You can do there. You can do your own YouTube videos like I have done, and all of my players have come from my own YouTube channel. We've not paid content creators yet. So we are looking. So if you're a content creator and you're looking to do a video on my server, hit me up, message me on Discord. But aside from that, we do try to advertise as best we can, but if you really want players to join, you're going to probably have to put some money in, but I suggest you use your money wisely and look more toward content creation and not necessarily toward these voting websites. Tip number 5, time commitment. Last but not least, time commitment. I had no clue how much time it was really going to take to start a server, to staff a server, to bring players to a server, and to keep it active. Let me tell you, it's a lot of work. It is significant amount of work. You could easily do this as a full-time job, just getting the server ready and just getting players active and constantly updating the server. It's easily a full-time job if you want it to be. And realistically, I've put in hundreds and thousands at this point of hours into my channel or into my server. It's not easy. It's not quick. It's not quick money. If you think you're going to be able to make a server, make a quick buck, I promise you it's not that easy. You have to put a good amount of time, and there's good chances of you doing well with a server, but you do have to put the time in. Don't expect it to be a 10-hour thing. It's funny, when I first built this, I expected to just go onto Fiverr, pay somebody to build the server for me, and then I was gonna grab a few staff members, and then we were just gonna launch. I literally thought it was gonna be that easy. I had no idea that it was going to be as difficult as it was, and we had so many problems. Like I said, we launched before following all these steps that you guys have watched so far. We didn't follow any of those steps, and we had a ton of problems, and it was a lot of work, and I there was multiple times I almost gave up, and I'm really glad I didn't, because I think in the end it was absolutely worth it. It has been an amazing experience. Pixelfam is a blast. I've enjoyed playing on it and playing alongside everybody that does play on it as well. But seriously, it is a lot of time commitment. So if you don't have time to do this, or if you don't have a passion for this, look for something else, because this is not going to be a quick buck. It's a lot of work, but it's very fulfilling and very fun. That'll be it from me. That's your top 5 tips. If you guys like this video and you got this far into the video, I very much appreciate it, because not very many of you do. And if you made it this far in the video, let me know in the comments. Say, hey, I made it this far in the video. I appreciate you so much. Thank you so much. If you have made it this far and you haven't subscribed yet, you owe it at this point. Come on. I gave you 10 minutes of great content, I would hope. But thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you guys in the next one.